Day 3 at the base with the sand still warm. Thunder on the peak like a beating storm. Boundaries marked, don't rush that line.
Imagine you've been walking for 3 months across the desert, through thirst, past bones of an army drowned behind you, and now you arrive at a mountain, and God says, I want to make you my treasured possession, a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. And that is what happens in Exodus 19. God proposes to an entire nation, and what do they do with that proposal? And what will they refuse? Will echo through the rest of the Bible and straight into your own covenant life. Welcome back to Come Listen With Me. I'm Ricky Black, aka Elder Eleazar, and this is our Monday, April 20th reading of Week 17. This is our ongoing 2026 Come Follow Me study of the Old Testament. Now, this week we are in Exodus 19, 20, 24, and chapters 31 through 34. It's a bit erratic, but they all go together. And this is some of the most dramatic, theologically dense material in the entire Pentateuch. And today we begin at the foot of Mount Sinai. But before we start, let's begin by giving thanks this day to our Father in heaven and for the privilege of opening His Word together. And as we read about Israel's arrival at Sinai, let's ask that we would want to feel the weight of that covenant that He offered them and the covenant that He offers at us. And it is my prayer that our ears will be open to hear what He is saying, not just to ancient Israel, but to each of us right now. So let's ask for these things as we read today in Jesus' name. Now, all right, we've got 25 verses to read, covenant proposal to unpack, and a mountain that's about to catch fire. So with that, let's come listen together. Now, again, we're going to be in Exodus 19 here. And before we begin, we want to read with intention. So here are a few questions to keep in mind to focus our attention today as we begin to read. First, what does it mean that God carried Israel on eagle's wings? Where else does this image appear in Scripture? And what does it tell us about how God sees His relationship with His people? Then, God commands the people to sanctify themselves before meeting. So what does that preparation involve? And how does it parallel our own preparation for sacred experiences like the temple and sacrament on Sundays? Finally, why does God set boundaries around the mountain? And what do these boundaries teach about approaching the divine, both its accessibility and its danger? All right. So now, with those in mind, as we open our scriptures today, a quick orientation. It's been roughly 3 months since Israel left Egypt. And they have crossed the Red Sea, they have drunk bitter water and made sweet at Marah, and they have eaten manna and quail. And they have fought the Amalekites. And now they finally arrive at Sinai, the mountain of God. It's the same place where Moses first encountered the burning bush. And this mountain is going to function as Israel's first temple. So everything that happens here, the boundaries, the consecration, the ascent, the presence of God, it follows a pattern that will reappear in the tabernacle, in Solomon's temples, and in our temples today. So keeping all that in mind, let's go ahead and open up and begin reading. And so we're going to start just right here in verses 1 and 2. So in the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth from out of the land of Egypt, that same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and their Israel camped before the mount. So 3 months, that's how long the journey from Egypt to Sinai took. And now they camp before the mount, right? They're going to stay here for nearly a year. So everything from here through the rest of Exodus and all of Leviticus and the first 10 chapters of Numbers, right? It's all going to happen at this mountain. So this is really important. They're finally staying stationary for a little while. Okay, let's go on to verses 3 through 6. And Moses went unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now, therefore, If ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. This is one of the more important passages in the Old Testament. Like, God is now proposing a covenant. And look at how he frames it. He doesn't start with demands. He starts with a reminder of what he's already done, right? Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians. So we're seeing another example of where grace comes before the law, right? Rescue comes before there's any requirements. And then that image, I bear you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. He's not saying I brought you to a destination, and it's not like I brought you to a land. He's saying unto myself, to him, right? So the goal of the Exodus was never just freedom from Egypt. It was the relationship with God. And I think that's really important for us to remember. Like, whatever we're going through in our lives, the purpose isn't some other destination. The destination is always to draw us closer to God. So keep that in mind as we go through things. And now, the three titles, right? Peculiar treasure. Now, the Hebrew word is segullah, and it means a king's personal treasured possession. Now, President Nelson, he taught that it's sort of a compliment of the highest order, right? It's something to be desired to be that sort of high value to somebody. And then the next one, kingdom of priests, right? Mamlechet, or Mamlechet Kohanim, sorry. And it's not as a nation that has priests, right? But as a nation that is priests. So every person mediating between God and the world. And holy nation, that's the third one, right? Goy Kadosh, a people set apart from God's purposes. Those are really important titles to keep in mind. In Doctrine and Covenants 84, it tells us that God intended to give Israel the ordinances of Melchizedek priesthood here. The fullness of the gospel, right? The power to enter his presence. And that is what kingdom of priests was supposed to mean. Now, we'll see later this week what happened to that offer. But for now, just note that it was out there. It was on the table. Okay, move on to verses 7 through 8 now. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. So it's unanimous here, right? All the people answered together, right? By unanimous consent. So there's no dissent here. There's no negotiation. They accept the covenant, right? And remember that, because when we get to the golden calf later this week, it's going to make the betrayal hit that much harder. All right, let's continue on to verses 9 through 11. And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people, and sanctify them to the day and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. And be ready against the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. So 2 days of preparation, right? Sanctification, washing clothes. This is all about ritual purification, right? The ancient equivalent of the spiritual preparation that we do before entering the temple. So you don't walk into God's presence just casually, right? You ready yourself. And also notice the part, the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people. So God's intention was for the entire nation to witness his presence. This wasn't meant to be an experience limited to Moses. So keep that in mind when we get to chapter 20 tomorrow. Okay, so Exodus back here on verses 12 through 15. Let's go ahead and continue. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the borders of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall surely be put to death. There shall not a hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount. And Moses went down from the mount and unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day, come not at your wives. So, boundaries, right? And notice that they aren't arbitrary. They're protective. Like, the holiness of God is not safe in the way we sometimes imagine is safe, right? It is good, it is loving, but it is also very, very powerful. And approaching it without preparation is dangerous. Now, the temple teaches us that same principle. There are thresholds, there are ordinances, and there is a sequence, and you don't skip the steps in God's presence. All right, so we're getting on to the theophany portion here now. So we're going to go into verses 16 through 19. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightning and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the nether part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. Try and put yourself there in that moment, right? Suddenly, this mountain is on fire. Smoke is rising like a furnace. The ground, it's shaking violently. And there's a trumpet, not a man-made trumpet. Like, this is supernatural, and it's getting louder. It's not fading. It's just louder and louder and louder. This is God arriving. And the language is temple language, right? Fire, smoke, trembling, a threshold you cannot cross, and a mediator who ascends on your behalf. So scholars like Amy Hardinson and Aaron Shade, they have shown that the architecture of Sinai maps directly onto the architecture of the tabernacle and the temple. There's an outer court, a holy place, a holy holies. So Israel is standing at the veil of the temple. All right, continue on. This is going to be verses 20 through 25. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto the Lord to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also, which come near to the Lord, sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break forth upon them. And Moses said unto the Lord, The people cannot come up to the Mount Sinai, for thou charged us, saying, Set bounds about the mount, and sanctify it. And the Lord said unto him, Away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee. But let not the priests and the people break through to come up unto the Lord, lest he break forth upon them. So Moses went down unto the people, and spake unto them. All right. So Moses goes up, and then God sends him back down. Moses goes up again. The repetition isn't like clumsy narration, right? There is an emphasis about how serious God is about these boundaries. And some of the people want to push through and gaze. And God says, if they do, they're going to perish. They're going to die. And it's not a punishment, but it's just a consequence of being past that boundary. So you can't stand in unfiltered divine presence, unprepared, and expect to survive. And here's the heartbreak of it, which we'll see tomorrow. God wanted them to be prepared. Like, he gave them the process. Sanctify, wash, wait, ascend when the trumpet sounds. And the whole system was designed to bring them into his presence. But the people, they just won't do it. They're stubborn. I don't know. Kind of feel like I might be that stubborn too, time to time, but yeah. And, well, that's our reading for today. So it's just 25 verses, all of Exodus 19. And one of the things that really kind of stands out to me every time I read this chapter, it's the scale of what God was offering, right? This was not a set of rules handed down from some distant authority, right? It was a true proposal, a true covenant, an amazing relationship. He said, I bear ye on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. And then he gave the 3 titles, segullah, kingdom of priests, holy nation. Those are still on the table for us. And that is what temple covenants are all about. So it's not just, checking boxes or earning, brownie points for being good. It's actually about becoming the kind of people who can stand in God's presence and not need to pull back, right? So these aren't things that we do, simply because we're commanded to, but it's about receiving greater blessings from the Lord, the blessings that he wants us to have. And it's truly a beautiful and exceptional thing. So here's my question for you today. Where in your life is God inviting you to come closer? And are you sanctifying yourself for that encounter? Or, like the Israelites, are you lingering at that boundary? Let me know in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going and share with others. It could be a strength into others. You might be an inspiration to more. Who knows? I'm looking forward to seeing the engagement there. Now, tomorrow, we're going to be in Exodus 20. That's the 10 Commandments, right? So God is about to speak to the entire nation in his own voice. And then something happens that changes everything. And they hear him, but they're going to choose a distance, right, between them and God. So we'll talk about what was lost in that moment. And if you haven't heard it yet, this week's deep dive article on Substack, it's called A Kingdom of Priests. So unpacking what those 3 covenant titles in verses 5 and 6 were actually supposed to mean. And the link's in the description, so please go check it out. It really will take you much deeper into what this chapter is talking about and to show you the beauty of those blessings and how it's still on the table for us. You're going to get a lot out of it. But other than that, that's all we have for today. As always, I appreciate you all and thank you for choosing to spend some of your precious time to come listen with me.
Stand at the border of glory and dust. We choose your word. Teach our hearts to trust. Stand at the border of glory and dust. We choose your word. Teach our hearts to trust. All that you've spoken will